It took them 3 minutes. 3 minutes. But they were going to charge us $1,000. Thanks, Mercedes. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time. I'm going to be filming a video today just talking to you about everything that I would do differently if I started van life over from scratch. Some of these things are pretty simple, but they're game changers, and I think about them constantly. All of these things are 1000% avoidable, so I'm here to share with you my experience so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. A little bit of backstory. I have been traveling for the last 2 years in a Sprinter van. There are definitely things that I wish that I maybe would have done differently, or at least didn't have to suffer through. So again, that's why I'm making this video. I'm actually in a really interesting place right now in life where I'm kind of going through a little bit of a transition into a different type of adventure, and we will be selling the van. There are plenty of ventures up ahead, and this summer is actually going to be a little bit wild, and I'm really excited to share some of my journey with you guys. Starting off with number one, it is window covers. This one is so simple, but I swear it will change your life. I was dumb and I did not invest in better window covers, and you might think, why is that a big deal? Well, let me tell you. The window covers that I had were very much not fitted to the windows and didn't even fully cover, like there was like a little bit of a gap, and on some of them they definitely were not made for this van. Eventually a company reached out to me to take some photos for them, and it was window covers for Van Essential, which by the way, they have great window covers. Invest in them. I don't have stock in them, but they're great. You should get them. They will change your life. The difference that I had in my daily life, especially at night as a woman traveling solo, to have full privacy. Every single crack and crevice is completely covered, so I can turn the lights on full blast. I don't have to worry about them seeing in at all or anything like that. Like, makes a huge difference. And you might think, why didn't you do this sooner? You're so dumb. I agree. All I'm saying is that don't try to DIY your window covers. Don't try, I tried to do like a curtain. I tried to do all these different things. It's not worth it. Just get the window covers, the ones with the little magnetic that will stick to your door and fully insulate and block out all the light. Being on the road already, you lose a lot of your privacy when you're just hanging out in your van, doing life, getting work done, and then people just walk up, you know, wanting to look in your van. It's really uncomfortable. So just in general, having these good window covers, best investment ever. I wish that I got them sooner. For lack of better words, the second one is to avoid buying used rentals from a van company. That is what I did. I love my van, and let me be clear that I don't regret buying a used van at all. In fact, I think that's actually the best move, I think, for your first van. I don't regret buying a van that was already built out. The layout of this van, it's great. There are definitely things that I would do differently in the build the next time, but buying a used van that was already built out, honestly, was perfect for me. What I do have regrets about is who I bought the used van from. I thought that it was going to be the safer bet to buy from a used van company. This company, I am going to call them out because they did me dirty. Vancraft, for lack of better terms, screwed me over in a lot of ways, and I know a lot of people that used to work there that agreed with that and felt bad when they sold me this van. I do not think that they were being very straightforward on all of the maintenance that they hadn't done on the van. However, I thought that, you know, it would be a safer bet to buy from a rental company. So I had this like fear that there was less security in buying from a person as opposed to a company, so I went the company route. Looking back at it now, I definitely would have saved at least 15 grand just on buying the van itself if I had bought one off of Facebook Marketplace from a person who I'm sure was really nice. And regardless of if I ended up having to have the same mechanical issues, I would have saved $15,000. I thought that I would have this like security or sense of security that I bought it from a company, that I should trust them. Well, that is not going to change the fact that van maintenance is very expensive, and sometimes you are just dealt a bad hand. You're going to have to pay for van expenses anyway. Van maintenance, things break all the time. I wish that I would have just gone the route of buying from another van lifer who honestly I probably should have and would have trusted a lot more. Vancraft, do not buy from them. Fine, rent from them, whatever. Don't buy a used vehicle from them. Just buy from someone who you get a good vibe and feeling from. You listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. That's the biggest thing that van life has told me. Okay, one of the things that I wish that I did earlier was realizing how exhausting it can be traveling from one place to another, especially when you're going to places that you've never been before. The next tip is just to plan your route and to plan to have longer stays in one spot at a time. I love what I do, but it requires a lot of travel, and I did not plan out my sessions and my wedding super well. I drove about 40,000 miles my first year of van life, and those were pretty much all miles that I drove by myself, and that was exhausting. So especially if you were a solo van lifer, traveling that much is not worth it. If you have a job that allows you to stay in one spot, stay in one spot. Experience what it's like to live there, be present. Try to plan your route and your events, your work, whatever, around just being in one spot for like a month. It definitely, I think, would have opened the doors for me to meet more van life people, because that is something that's really hard. You meet people and then the next day you have to leave and it's hard to link back up. So if you want to build really good, strong, solid community, plan to stay in one spot at a time, find your people, experience what it's like to actually be in that place. It will make van life feel so much better. Tip number 4, invest in Starlink. Here's what I mean. As a solo van lifer, I was fearful of being in places where I didn't have cell service or internet to be able to like talk to anyone. So it was a lot harder for me to find places to stay, and would honestly end up putting me in harm's way a lot of the time, because I would have to stay in places that probably were more sketchy but had cell service as opposed to places that didn't have cell service at all. I always had a Garmin InReach with me, which was really, really helpful. If you don't know what those are, I will link it below. It's basically a satellite phone so that you can text or make an SOS or emergency call if something happens when you don't have service. But to park overnight was really hard, to be super disconnected. It also just made things a lot more lonely if I'm by myself and don't have service. If you're a solo van lifer, like, I would just look into getting Starlink or something like it that would allow you to be able to have internet access or better cell service so that you can, be able to connect with people and not be as like scared and nervous as I was. And then you can go places that are really pretty, but you have service and you feel safe. The second to last one is do not pay for storage. Just sell what you own. This obviously depends on what kind of stage of life you were in, but for me, I had no idea how long I was going to be doing van life for. And so I decided that I would sell pretty much everything, which I did, but keep a few things just in case. And I paid for storage an entire year for $150 a month that I could have saved and used for Starlink. I wish I did that rather than pay for storage for things that now I've literally sold all those things because I decided I'm not going to use these. Save the money that you would spend on a storage unit if you want to buy stuff in the future for your home, or use it for Starlink or for something for your van. It was just such a waste of money and I wish I didn't do it. Okay, the last tip that I have is to do your research on maintenance. I spent a lot of money on things that I probably could have fixed myself, and have learned that I can fix myself and have fixed myself, as opposed to bringing it into the dealership and them charging me $900 for labor for an hour. That's ridiculous. There are definitely things that I can't do. I can't do it. They have the tools. I don't have the tools or the expertise. I recently had my intercooler hose, I got a hole in it. So it wasn't pumping from my intercooler to my engine or whatever it pumps to. When I was trying to give gas, it wasn't like really hitting the RPMs. They were going to charge $1,200 to replace this part. We looked it up and the part we found as cheap as $56. We ended up going with one that was more expensive just because we thought might as well spend a little bit extra money just in case it's better. I don't know. And we went with one that was $96. So the part was $96. So they were going to charge us about $1,100 to do the repairs, which I understand, you know, if things take time, whatever. We watched a YouTube video on how to do it. It took them 90 seconds. So they were going to charge us over $1,000 to fix something that was an easy fix that literally I could do with no tools. It's hard. It's your home. Things are broken down. You don't know what else to do. You don't have all the tools. So what else are you supposed to do? Like, you literally have to sleep in the parking lot of the freaking dealership until they fix it, because that is your home. Like, it's a wild situation to be in when you have van breakdowns. But if I did it all over again, I would do more research into what they're repairing and if it is something that I can do myself. I kid you not, when we got the part, my boyfriend actually fixed it the first time, but I timed him and how long it would take to remove the old intercooler hose and put on the new one and fully install it. It took him 3 minutes. 3 minutes. But they were going to charge us $1,000. Thanks, Mercedes. Do with that what you will. I hope that these maybe gave you a little bit of insight on what you might do starting out, or maybe you will switch and do differently. I'd love to know in the comments if you do van life, like, what would you do differently if you started over again? What have you learned? Let's make this a community where we can like share with each other and not gatekeep. Stick around for a part 2, and I'm going to be going over everything that I would not change that I absolutely loved that I did. So kind of the reverse of this video. If you're new here, hi. I would love for you to subscribe and follow and join along as I am going through this transition from van life to potentially car life travel. It will be interesting. And then potentially a new van down the road and building that out and everything. Maybe buying property. I don't know everything that is going to happen yet, but I'm really excited. All right. Thanks, guys.